Lots of people have very strong opinions. I've got to say, I certainly have a strong opinion, and I think she's an absolute disgrace. I don't think she should ever be freed. And if I was in charge of the country, and for everyone's sake, it's a good job I'm not, personally, I would make her be sterilised so that she could never have a child again, let alone hurt one. But as I say, luckily I'm not in charge of the country. Rob, your thoughts? Well, throwing away the key is certainly a very attractive proposition. I can't believe anybody's got a shred of sympathy for Tracy Connolly. But I do have concerns about the justice system being fair and measured and predictable, because that's how everybody, whether they're innocent, guilty, whatever, gets justice. And so I tend to avoid making judgments without seeing all of the facts. And the jury in this case, the judge in this case, and now the parole board on multiple occasions, they at least have all of those facts in front of them and can understand the case in the round. She was given an indefinite term with a minimum of 5 years. She served 11. She's not going to be free by the what we would normally call free. She's going to be wearing a tag. So she's going to have to live at a particular place, tell the police if she's in a relationship, have her communications monitored, if she's allowed out. Certainly I can see why Dominic Raab wants to review the case, but I wouldn't automatically say that it's wrong for her to be released. I think that it needs to be considered as much for the sake of everybody else who has some relationship with the justice system. As for Tracy Connolly, I don't. Yeah, for her individual case, I don't particularly care. See, Pamana, in life, I think there's some kind of lines that you cross in society, and I think once you cross those lines, you've got no business being out in society. I don't care if you've got a tag or if you've got to tell the police I'm in a relationship. If you can give your own child 50 injuries, including a snapped spine, 8 broken ribs, sorry, but you've got no place in society, if you ask me. Am I wrong?
So it's interesting, this one. She initially didn't take fault on the death of her child and said that she wasn't at fault on this and that her boyfriend was at fault for his death. And then later on she changed her mind and said that she wrote a letter to the judge saying that she takes full responsibility and she cries herself to sleep sometimes knowing that she hasn't been a good mother. For me, I think I look at this in terms of, if we look at her history, she grew up with a mother who had a drinking and a drug problem. She was known to social services from childhood. And then when she was 16 years old, she got into a relationship with a man who was 17 years her senior, and she had baby P at that time. So I think there's a whole range of issues here with this individual in particular. She needs help, clearly, that's quite clear. But the thing that I come to is if she's continuously a danger to society now in terms of other children... Hang on,
before we come to the danger of society, I want to pick you up on your point there. Mm-hmm. Are you saying that being abused as a child or having a chaotic lifestyle as a child basically gives you some kind of free pass?
No, definitely not, no. I'm saying what she needs is support because that has clearly impacted her and clearly hasn't helped this situation in particular.
See,
three of her other children were taken off her and put into care.
But Pamana, right, I was on the social services at risk register as a child. I have had what some would call an abusive childhood. Yeah. I've got a little boy the same age as baby P. I know right from wrong. Yeah. What was done to me as a child, I wouldn't dream of inflicting on you know
but you're
right
a different
from
person,
wrong.
Though, Michelle. You're a different person.
Yeah, but I don't care what person I am. I don't care who you are. You know that abusing a baby, snapping the spine of a baby or letting someone else do that, you know right from wrong. And I don't care what your childhood is. I really don't, Pamana.
I mean, I would agree with you that people should know what right and wrong is. But what I'm trying to say here is that she should have got support right from early on. And that support wasn't given to her from her being a 16-year-old child. So that's what I would like us to consider in the whole context of this. But in terms of her being released now, I think if she's continuously a danger to society, she should not be released and she should stay in prison.
Oh, I don't even want to consider her childhood, Mark, to me. I just think it's so... I'm sick and tired of people excusing terrible behaviour. Accept personal responsibility,
It's awful when people have a terrible childhood and they need to be supported and all the rest of it, but it does not excuse bad behaviour into your adulthood. Get some personal responsibility and sort yourself out.
Of course, because...
Sorry, I just wanted to get that off my chest.
But that's one of the reasons why one of the tests that a court assesses is whether somebody is capable of being held morally culpable. If you're in a circumstance in which your childhood has literally caused you such serious mental illness that you cannot be deemed by a court to know right from wrong, then the law treats that differently. It assessed this case, it assessed that she did know right from wrong, she was culpable. Whether she's a threat to a danger to society is rightly one of the considerations. It seems to be the main thing the Parole Board's considered here. But there are other considerations here. I think there's the question about punishment. Rehabilitation is one function, or ought to be one function of the justice system. It often fails in that. We should do better on it. But rehabilitation is part of it. But there's also a question of punishment. And thirdly, there's a question of deterrence. And I think the kind of lines that you were talking about, I agree with Rob that we need kind of clarity, you need a kind of static clarity for people, but that involves drawing a line. And one of those lines is that if you do this particular crime, I don't think you should expect any prospect of being released.
But I don't